the wife of Mark. She is currently the owner and director of Cannabis Culture magazine, Mark Emery's Cannabis Culture headquarters store, Pot TV, and the BC Marijuana Party headquarters. So ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Jodi Emery.
Typically I like to take a bike and walk around, but oh, it's alright, I'll stand here. Well, I'll admit, today I am not my usual self. Typically, I am pretty stone cold and stoic, but we're coming up on 4 years this Saturday of my husband, Mark, being in U.S. federal prison for helping begin 20 years ago the industry and the movement that we're all sitting here today talking about as if it's legal. And parts of it are totally legal for medical. But I gotta admit, I am getting tired of waiting for my husband to come home. I am a business owner. I employ 28 people. I have 4 businesses. CannabisCulture.com was one of the first print magazines and websites in the world about marijuana, and right now it remains one of the top marijuana news websites in the world. Pot TV is a video website. It began when there was no video on the internet at all in 2000 when my husband Mark Emery started it at the same time as CBC Television launching their revolutionary new video streaming on the internet. My husband started a lot of things starting 20 years ago with bringing High Times magazine and books and bongs and pipes into Canada to sell and begin this industry when even a magazine about pot was prohibited and had a heavy fine. So Mark began 20 years ago this industry, and he created Cannabis Culture magazine, he created Pot TV, he started Emery Seeds, which was the biggest seed business in the world, selling millions of seeds and giving all the proceeds back to financing activism through the magazine, through Pot TV, through ballot initiatives which made medical marijuana legal in a number of U.S. states, through financing groups like Marijuana Policy Project, which is now a multi-million-dollar major lobbying group in the United States, changing laws in numerous states. Mark helped finance all sorts of groups and rallies and programs, and even the United States Drug Enforcement Administration tracked the millions of dollars he made and said yes, he gave it away to political activists, political groups, and no drug dealers, no drug connections at all, but they still called him the most wanted drug trafficking kingpin in Canada and had him facing 30 years to life in prison for sending seeds through the mail from Canada, paying taxes, and never leaving this country while doing so, and running for office, creating the BC Marijuana Party, the Marijuana Party of Canada, and of course supporting different political parties across this country when they choose to support people's rights. My husband was extradited in 2010, and I was made to take over our business, which is not related to marijuana itself in any way. I've not even stepped foot inside an operating dispensary. I don't have a medical license. I don't have any connection whatsoever to medical marijuana, except to say people have a right to use it, either to treat what ails them or to prevent illness from setting in. And that is a right we all have, and I will always advocate for the right of medicinal use of marijuana, free from any risk of arrest or imprisonment or suffering. So even though I have no interest and no involvement and no financial gain and no stake at all in medical marijuana, I run a store called Cannabis Culture Headquarters. I run Cannabis Culture, Pot TV, and the BC Marijuana Party Vapor Lounge, which is where people are free to bring their own cannabis, consume it with vaporizers or in whatever form they choose, and to have a safe environment to do so. Like I said, 28 employees, and I don't even touch marijuana in our business. We have no seeds, we have no weed. The seed business had to end some time ago. But I believe in capitalism. I believe in money. I believe in making money. I believe everybody wants to make money. I believe even people who are poverty activists, what do they want? More money. Everybody wants money, and there is no sin in wanting money. There's no sin in making money. There's nothing wrong with money unless you use unethical means to get it, or you harm other human beings in the process. Now, of course, we can kind of say, well, what hurts other human beings? Is it hurting a teenager to force them to flip burgers? Or, you know, is it hurting someone to make them create clothing in a factory? Well, sure, there's risks to everything. Loggers die in this province at a high rate. There's risks involved with everything. But money is not evil unless evil means are used to get it. When it comes to marijuana, this is an interesting industry because it is worth billions. For many, many years, before anybody would even listen to the activists saying legalize it, they said, yeah, you just want to get high. You just want to get high. You're just stoners, you're just dopers, you're just hippies, you just want to get high. And then we had to start talking about, oh, the gangs. Like, come on, government, can you at least agree with us that, you know, you don't want us to get high, but could we at least say we don't want gangs to sell it anymore? Can you at least be on board with that? And they go, oh, well, the gangs are bad, you know. And we say, well, what about the money? Because money runs the world. Money runs our daily lives. Every single one of us is scraping and working and trying to earn $1 so we can eat and we can have a roof over our head, we can put our kids to school or whatever you want to do. So you can go party in Mexico for a year or whatever. Money needs to be made and it's not wrong. But with our argument as activists, we've had to win over the government and win over the mainstream and win over the public by talking about the dollar. And I love the dollar, the almighty dollar. It's not a bad thing. We needed to convince the public that even if they hate marijuana, they should be pissed off that billions of their tax dollars, which they work every day to have forced from their own labor by the government, the tax dollars, they don't even get to volunteer to the government. The tax dollars stolen from them by force from the government is used to put people in prison and to arrest them and to put young people through enormous harm for the rest of their lives. That's a waste of money, whether you like pot or not. We want to talk about dollars. Let's save some money by ending prohibition. Let's also make some money by taking billions of dollars away from the underground economy and bringing it on board into the legitimate economy. It doesn't make sense that the police get all pissed off with their piles of money they seize and go, look how bad the gangs are. They're making billions of dollars. And we say, yeah, but you're the one making the policy that makes sure they make that money. Why can't everyone sitting here make that money? Why can't the Canadians grow that pot? Why can't the Canadians sell that legitimately without the threat of arrest? And it's the police and the politicians and the gangsters who really like prohibition. They like to keep it in place. But we activists have had to say, what about the dollar? Government, you're all about money. Everybody's about money. You want to talk about money? Let's take the money away from the gangs because it is worth billions of dollars. Problem is, after years of telling everyone about the billions and billions and trillions of dollars marijuana is worth, that's prohibited marijuana. That's marijuana that existed in a marketplace with a threat of arrest, prison, being shot in the street by your rival, being kidnapped and held and extorted by fellow gang members. Those are the risks involved with dealing with marijuana in a prohibited market, which means the price goes up. Demand is high, supply is low, the supply that exists demands a high price. I think, I'm not an economist, but I think that's how things work. And when it comes to the price of pot, it is very high because of the risk involved. So we didn't really tell the public and the government and everybody else and the investors that, yeah, marijuana, when we make it legal, actually has to be worth not at $10 a gram, it has to be worth maybe a penny a gram. Why can't you buy 20 marijuana cigarettes at a gram each, or a gram and a bit, let's say 28 grams of marijuana? Why can't you buy it for $10 like you can buy a pack of smokes? You know, tobacco is a huge industry. Billions and trillions of dollars to be made in packaging design and security and shipping it out and the truckers driving it out to the shops. I mean, there's an enormous industry in tobacco and everything that's legal. You just look at alcohol, there's a ton of people who don't even touch the booze and they're making a living by designing labels for a bottle, right? I mean, there's all sorts of jobs. So, but with marijuana, we had to tell everybody how much it was worth, but if we move into a legal industry, the price must come down because the risk no longer remains. But that doesn't mean freak out and go, oh, hell no, now it's not worth anything at a penny a gram. It is worth a lot. Do you know how much pot people smoke? Do you have any idea how much marijuana is consumed already and how much more marijuana can be consumed and will be consumed by the aging population across this country who say, I don't want those pain pills anymore. I want to just puff on a herb that makes me feel good. And today, by the way, in the paper, an MS study just found that no medicine works for MS except marijuana. You can read that in today's paper. So marijuana is going to be used by a lot of people, and even if it sells for only a penny a gram, there's still tons of money to be made. Again, there's a lot of demand for it, and there are a lot of jobs in the industry. You don't just have the dealer selling it out of a backpack. You've got storefronts. You've got employees hired. You've got all sorts of things involved with the legal industry, so the price must come down. Again, that's not going to mean you make less money. It means that you have a bigger market and there's more money to be made, but it is going to be like the free market. Take a walk downtown, you'll see restaurants that flourish and restaurants that fail. Jacob's clothing store in Canada, it's a shame, they just are closing down, they're shutting down all their stores across this country. Businesses grow, businesses fail, businesses boom, businesses bust. It's what happens. It's what's going to happen in the marijuana industry too. But I just want to talk quickly about cost and price, aside that I have more intimate knowledge of, is the human cost. I am all for business, as I've said. I believe in this industry. I want it to be legal so we can all make a ton of money off of it, and I think everyone can be happy doing that. But I kind of get frustrated when, we talk about it as if it is legal. I mean, just sitting here right now, this is kind of, it's surreal to me that my own husband is in Mississippi federal prison right now, finishing 85% of the 5-year sentence, so it'll be 4 years in a few months. He'll be out in late July, August this summer. But to think of how much has changed in that time is incredible. I celebrate this. I have no qualms or issues with any of this. I think it's phenomenal. Again, capitalist. Oh, and by the way, my title of my talk is supposed to be Compassionate Cannabis Capitalism, because I don't think capitalism is evil. I think capitalism is wonderful, and I think with cannabis we can have a compassionate capitalist cannabis industry. I believe that exists. But human beings are terrible or wonderful in every part of society. You have good teachers, bad teachers. You've got all sorts of human nature and values, so that's going to go into businesses. So some businesses will be run by jerks, some will be run by nice people. It happens every day right now. Right? I mean, it's not a big deal, but you're going to have a lot of businesses going into this industry, and I want them to just remember it's not legal yet. Today, right now, someone is getting arrested for pot possession. Right now. Right now they're going to court. Right now somebody is in court, probably in Ontario, let's pick a province, and they're saying goodbye to their wife and their kids. They're saying goodbye to them because even if they're only going to prison for 3 months or 3 years, that's a cost. That's a human cost. We can put some numbers on that. We can say, oh, he would have earned, $50 grand a year working his job so he could support his wife and kids. So now we're saying, oh, well, that wife now has to support her husband in prison and her kids by herself. So that's a cost. But we also have the cost of the shame on the children who go to school and learn that the police are the good guys and the prisoners are the bad guys. And they have to sit there and go, my daddy's a bad guy? My daddy's a bad guy because he is in jail. And I see this. This kills me. When I'm visiting Mark in prison, it doesn't make me cry when I see him. We're fine. We're tough. We get through this. It kills me to see the children and the mothers trying so hard not to cry. Little 6-year-old girls who come there to see their daddy and have to say goodbye and be so brave. And you see these tough men trying so hard to be so brave. And it's just heartbreaking. Because even the cost of getting to that prison, those are the lucky ones. Those kids and those mothers getting to see their imprisoned loved ones are the lucky ones because they can afford to go. I used to go with families and I would pay for them to stay at the hotel because they wouldn't have been able to get to their daddy, their little tiny 2-year-old boy and 2 older kids under 7. And I paid for them. Their dad was in there for marijuana smuggling. And they would drive me to the prison and I would pay for their hotel so that they could get there. Lucky ones. And how heartbreaking is it to say that you're lucky when you get to go to a prison and you get to cry when you see your daddy have to go back and get strip searched. So the human cost is enormous and cannot be calculated. And it still goes on. So while there's money to be made and there's still a lot of businesses opening, and I am blown away personally, even myself, living in the city 10 years, walking down the street going, another dispensary, another head shop, another dispensary, it's incredible and it's wonderful. This is what we want. We've reached that tipping point where we have done what Mark said, to plant the seeds of freedom and overgrow the government. We've overgrown. Public opinion is on our side, business is on our side, industry, science, medicine, even law enforcement, like my husband's own prosecutor, John McCabe, former district attorney of Western Washington, and he helped legalize marijuana in Washington State with me and Mark working with him to legalize it. People are changing sides everyone is coming on board except for a lot of cops and a lot of politicians, namely Stephen Harper and the Conservative government. So for everybody here who wants to make money in this new industry, you aren't going to make it, or as much as you could, with Harper. We need a different government. And I'm not going to get partisan yet, but just saying, we need a new industry with a new government, because the medical industry is good and all, but I am not in favor of the idea of eliminating home gardens. I am not in favor of any sort of monopoly. I'm in favor of free market, free choice, where, yeah, you can go and be a big monopoly, or a big business, rather, and just sell tons of mass-produced commercial stuff, kind of like Budweiser or Molson, or I guess there's beer and stuff like that. Or you could be a little boutique like Granville Island Brewery, you know, you could be that. Or you could just go to the brewery and take it home with your buddies and go, yeah, look what I brewed down at the U-Brew, and just share with 3 buddies. Or you could go to one of these beer tasting things and share some with some other people, like a farmer's market. Or you could campaign to the provincial government, get the fences taken off of beer gardens and beer sold in grocery stores and all sorts of policy, public health ideas that for some reason don't apply to cannabis. But when we're talking about this new industry that will grow and will exist, remember that it's not legal yet. And as wonderful as it is for the government or Health Canada to create the possibility for many businesses to produce large amounts of marijuana to provide to large numbers of people, that's good. We shouldn't get rid of the home gardens because it's not necessary, because I promise you there are a lot of people who don't want to grow pot and do want to buy it. And they will buy it from whoever can provide it. But it's still illegal, and until we make it legal, you will not reach your maximum market, you will not reach the maximum audience. Your potential clients and customers are still being arrested with your tax dollars that, again, are being forced from your labors by your government at a rate of, I think, 54% of our money goes to taxes in some form or another. Fraser Institute, you can look that up. But you have the government taking your money and wasting it on enforcement and on pop laws that do not benefit the public and do not benefit business and only serve to benefit gangsters. And heck, if we make it legal, let the gangsters have a shot at it too. Maybe some people want to go buy it from a big tattooed thug. And let them have that freedom of choice. But when we do make it legal, the price will not be that high. There won't be an interest for the underground criminal market to still sell it. It just won't be worth it. There's still a market in contraband tobacco and alcohol. I know these things do exist, but not nearly on the scale as if we made it prohibited. So marijuana is worth a lot of money. Cannabis is great for capitalism. There's a lot of money to be made, and that's a wonderful thing. There are a lot of people to be employed. There are a lot of great advancements and developments we haven't even gotten into yet. I mean, industrial hemp, incredible. Marijuana has so much medical potential that we haven't even discovered yet. I mean, this is a cancer cure, and you can think I'm crazy. Google it. Don't take my word for it. Just look up the science being done to prove that THC and CBD can be injected into cancerous tumors and shrink them. This is just science. It's backed up, and whether you want to believe it or not, it doesn't matter, guys. When it comes down to it, we have a policy in place that is arresting people, putting them in prison, giving them criminal records, having young people, students. I have had students call me and say, I just got busted for pot. I was studying for international commerce. Now I'm not going to be able to get my next scholarship. Now I'm not able to travel to the United States. Now all those years of my life and all of that study and all of my hard work as a straight-A student is down the drain because of a pot charge. Not because of pot, because of the pot laws. So the pot laws are destroying lives. They're destroying the ability of our young people and even our middle-aged and elderly people from being able to participate freely in society. And as long as the police continue to arrest Canadians, they will be saddled with an expensive criminal record, expensive to you, the taxpayers, and expensive to them, and it will remove them from the workforce. Just imagine if every pot smoker you knew was never allowed to hold a serious job again. Canadians would be unemployed probably at a rate of 75%. So, you know, Obama, Ted Turner, Rolling Stones, I mean, you could go on and on. Marijuana users can be extraordinarily successful, and they are. And people who are successful may want to use marijuana, and they should not be facing arrest or any sort of personal punishment or personal cost for that choice. And I'll just close again by saying compassionate cannabis capitalism. You can do it compassionately by making a lot of money, making all your employees very wealthy, and making your customers very happy. But that can only only exist in a market where it is completely legal and open, where there is no government picking and choosing of who gets to do this and who gets to do that. Because while you guys are trying to sell marijuana to people, the gangsters still get to control the market in the biggest part. So let's take it away from them. Let's make a job market for Canadians who can get into this and make some money and bring in some tax dollars and stop wasting billions of taxes on a failed policy that's being rejected around the world. And Canada may be left behind with Harper at the helm, but maybe by 2015, 16, 17, we'll really get off the ground and growing. Thank you so much. That's 0.